Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Overlap Podcast, episode 140, by the way. And if you're new or just coming back after a hiatus from listening to the Overlap Podcast, in the Overlap Podcast, we discuss and study the overlaps between work, fitness, family, faith, parenting, and leadership. Becoming better in one aspect in life really helps you become better in all aspects of life, which is what this podcast is kind of based on. And we really like to say that we're taking big business ideas or brilliance and boiling it down for small business leaders. So, how you been, Keith?
I've been good.
We've been traveling.
Both to Costa Rica.
Strangely.
I know, and we didn't plan it at all.
No, we didn't.
I meant 5 hours away from each other in Costa Rica, I think.
I was in Costa Rica because my wife had an Olympic weightlifting competition. So I went to be the supportive husband.
We were there with Three Circle, our church.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and went to. We did 2 foundations for homes. A lot of the homes don't have concrete on the floors. They're just dirt. And
dirt
the
floors.
homes they took us in were all dirt.
I would imagine that causes some problems.
Yeah, I think it causes some disease. They have some feed issues, so
yeah,
I think a slab can really minimize that. So that's what we did. We poured concrete.
If you're going to go to Costa Rica and you're going to drive, you might want to drink a few C4s or something. You know, Red Bulls. I don't know, but
and take a defensive driving course.
No, I think that's not going to help. You need to be aggressively driving.
Yes,
that you're going to go nowhere unless you get real aggressive.
How many motorcycles did you get passed by?
1 billion.
Yeah.
Everyone in Costa Rica has a motorcycle or 2.
And they drive them like they're nuts.
What's that guy's name that jumped the Grand Canyon or
the
tried
Evil Knievel?
to? Evil Knievel.
Yeah, they all think they're Evil Knievel.
They do.
Yeah.
And
with 4 people on it. I saw a family on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
The whole family.
I was, no lie, on a highway with, 4 lanes, so 2 lanes heading east, 2 lanes heading west. I'm heading east, 2 lanes. 3-car wide on a 2-lane highway, and the motorcycles still passing us in the middle. Is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then that 2-lane area, I exit off to get to someplace, 3-car wide on 2 lanes, motorcycles passing us. You try to get into a double lane roundabout, son, I got nowhere for a long time. It was wild. And they're driving like NASCAR drivers around that thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to hit people, it seems like.
I don't know if I drove a car like that, my car would break down.
Well,
I don't know how they just keep cars running.
I don't either.
The roads were so horrible.
They were not good. So driving in Costa Rica is an experience that is not for the faint of heart. I just want to tell everyone. I did enjoy it.
I did also.
It felt like an adventure the entire time.
I did also. Was yours a manual shift car?
No, that would have been nice.
Yeah, I had a manual.
God, I would have really felt like a rally racer,
It was nice, and I had 14 kids in my Jeep. So I mean, in my van. So
14 boys. Huh?
Yeah, 14 boys.
Oh man, high school boys. Funny thing that happened is I came across a 1-lane bridge.
Oh, there were a lot of those where I was.
That's a thing.
And did yours have a yield sign on one side of it?
Son. No, there was no signage. You just go, oh crap, doesn't look like 2 cars can go there. And I see 1 car stopped. Okay. And then they let 2 cars go by, and then the car in front of me just darted through. And then another car came through, and I had to wait my turn and just gun it as soon as I got a chance. That happened several times. It was wild.
The last 4 miles or so into the town we were staying in was dirt road.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting also in a van with 14 boys and it being raining. It was torrential downpour when we arrived. So,
well, it was summer. It was the rainy season. Mm-hmm. That's their winter.
But beautiful country.
Okay. Well, today we've got a topic. And this, listen, guys, here's what we're doing. for the most part, we're talking about issues that we're dealing with directly, or we have dealt with, or issues that we're getting a lot of questions about. And so today's topic is there's a difference, a real difference between goals and standards. And if I say that out loud to you, you would say, duh, right? You would say, yeah, duh, got it. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we were just kind of dealing with that. We have a new guy helping us produce the podcast now, and Tim, and he was kind of browbeating us about goals and standards and stuff.
We're probably turning our goals into standards.
I think so.
Yeah. That's probably smart. We talk about getting help for things that you don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably we
actually got a coach. Huh?
Yeah, 140 episodes in, we're finally going, hey, we don't really know what we're doing here. We do have more than 12 listeners now. For the first 100 episodes, we kept saying we got about 12 listeners.
And then our mom stopped listening.
My mom, by the way, has never listened because she doesn't understand how to open an app in any way or listen to a podcast. If it streams somehow through the internet, then she stumbles across it, she might listen to some sort of conservative talk show that you could just listen on the radio anyways. But that's about as far as she's gotten. She thinks she listens to podcasts, but she doesn't listen to ours. And she asked me to send it to her all the time, which I do, and she never
She never still listens? Yeah.
I did say, hey, don't worry about it. I don't listen to them either.
Yeah.
But, okay, so today, there's a difference between goals and standards. And like I said, if I said that out loud, you would say, duh. The reason we're talking about it today is that I do think that there's a big misinterpretation of what goals are and what standards are when we're talking about starting with the concept of inside a business. Let's say our annual goal, and we'll use the word annual goal, and I don't know why, but I think it's just what is culturally sort of the norm is our annual goal, our annual plan. That's probably more like it. Annual plan is we're going to produce this much. In order to do that, we got to sell that much. And to do that, we've got this many people, this much equipment. It should come in at this gross profit. And then we sort of break everything down by variable overhead should stay between this percentage rate. Fixed overhead should stay between that, percentage. And then that will all result to this net profit number as a percentage of income. And that's the annual plan. I mean, in a simplified manner, right? What I think gets messed up is that we'll be moving forward with the year, and the folks that are in charge of producing X, selling Y, and keeping it within those percentages, because I don't really have a lot of direct involvement in that much anymore, and it's not their fault, by the way, I'm going to preface this, is they think that that's the goal. And if I don't hit the goal, not a big deal, we'll get them next time. Because it's just a goal. It's something we're striving for. Instead of, no, that's actually the standard, because that's how everyone gets paid. Go ahead.
Do you think, though, as the business owners, managers, we use the term goal because we don't want them to know what our standard really is? What does it take to keep the doors open?
Yeah.
I think maybe we use the term goal because of that.
I don't know. I think I always say the annual plan.
However, I think you do a great job in your business of being open with numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know that all business owners are.
Dude, ours is on a big 24 by 36 sheet of paper with, if anyone operates on EOS, you've got the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer, and it will give you your annual plan, where you're trying to go in 3 years, where you're trying to go in 5 years. I would say the 3-year is a little bit more of a target. It's not like a goal, but it's a target, and it may change. The 5-year or 10-year is kind of a little bit of an educated guess, and that's going to change, But it shouldn't change much. But, you might have a 30% variance on that. In that 3 year, you might have 20%, something along those lines. But the annual plan, I say the annual plan all the time, is really more of, that's the standard. That's what has to happen in order to pay everyone.
Yeah.
If you really peel the onion all the way back, this is what has to happen for everyone here that's not directly involved in, mowing the grass or planting the plants. And even those people are at risk if we don't hit those targets. We can't lose money. It's not a thing. It's not like, oh, that's the cost of doing business. No. That's not a thing. I'm not going to do that. Someone has to go. And that sounds terrible. But that's the truth. That's the thing that I don't think people talk about. That's the thing I don't think people bring up. That's the thing that I don't think gets communicated. I think that's a tough conversation to have. I think it's sticky. I think it makes everyone nervous. And I certainly don't want people operating out of fear. But to be unclear is to be unkind. And I don't think people often get clear about those things.
Because I think they don't want to be open about their numbers.
Yeah, maybe.
Sid, you say numbers are the language of business. We probably should take care of business.
Listen up. Look, not all of you have to deal with workman's comp, but those of you that do know that it's time-consuming and it's a headache. Insurance in general feels like something that happens to you rather than for you. But partnering with someone that really knows their stuff, like Chris May, with LTN Insurance, you've heard him before on the podcast, offers you the opportunity to regain control of your insurance. By collaborating with Chris, you have the chance to craft a personalized plan that ensures you receive optimal coverage at the best price. At LTN Insurance, their foremost core value is centered on education rather than sales. Their core value actually says, we don't sell, we educate, because they truly believe in empowering you, the customer, with the knowledge to make informed decisions about your insurance. That's whether you do business with them or not. They want you to be informed. So you can trust Chris and look him up, give him a call, or go to the website ltninsurance.com.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about one of our newest sponsors, Red Branch Outdoor Living. They create environments to bring people together by providing a turnkey solution for outdoor living with remarkable customer experience. They specialize in outdoor kitchens, pavilions, patios, pools, spas, and fire features. And they do it with integrity, innovation, and being remarkable. They did my outdoor space, and it turned out amazing. Check them out at redbranchconstruction.com. I think somewhere we've been told as business operators or owners or entrepreneurs that we need to look in control all the time. And maybe we do a little bit, but maybe part of that control is being open and honest about what it takes to keep your job also.
Yeah. God, and the more we talk about it, the more I sort of like bristle at the sound of it. But I can't mentally, I can't find a way around it. Those are just the facts. Those are the, that's the hard line in business is you have to produce enough to pay for what it costs to produce, the thing. And really the people that are most vulnerable are the people that are support, that direct overhead. We're paying you $55,000 a year to support the people that are actually producing, the product. Or we're paying you X to do the paperwork for the teams that are producing the product. You know what I'm saying? And like, and the folks that are getting that support, or they feel like that's a necessary thing. But you can't come in 20% under your number and still get the support. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So we were talking at lunch about this is where delegate, elevate can go bad.
Yeah.
Because we're great proponents of delegate.
I love it.
We've done 40 podcasts on, get an assistant.
Yeah. Delegate and elevate. Yeah.
Get a front office person. I mean, even you said, hey, a front office person changed my world.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. But you've got to be sure that you can support.
Oh, yeah.
The support. Right?
Yeah. Well, and there's got to be ROI for that too.
Right.
Can't be flat.
And that's where standards, I think, come in.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of thoughts that are going through my, and you actually, that's probably the number one thought right there. And so let's stay there just a little bit. Is that we're big proponents of, ask for help, maybe hiring an assistant, a virtual assistant. We've talked about that a bunch. We've talked about an office manager or someone to come in and do some of the things. I mean, not too long ago, we said, we had a podcast that said, don't do $25 an hour work, and that's absolutely the thing you have to do. But you don't get to just stop doing $25 an hour work, hire someone to do that, and then, go sit by the pool. And I don't know that everyone does that, but they do get there. I think there is a tendency, I could have a tendency to just get lazy if the pressure gets off of me a little bit. And I finally found someone to take some of this pressure off. Now I'm going to go train jujitsu twice a day or whatever, Or now I'm going to go play. Yeah, now I'm going to sign up for the Tuesday and Thursday golf league or whatever with Rick Miller.
I think it's also a tendency because right now I'm building a team, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a tendency to over support.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Over support. And what you're really saying is, oh man, I just need more help. Here's what I don't like doing. Let me just find someone that can do it.
Right.
And listen, we've talked about it, like you said, I don't know if it's 40 podcasts, but we've talked about it a lot. We've talked about energy audits, in the and really like delegate and elevate, finding the quadrant, and placing all of the tasks you do every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year, and putting them into a category of things you love and you're good at, things you're good at, but you kind of like, things you're good at but you don't like, and things you're not good at and you don't like. And then let's find some people to do those things that, starting with that last quadrant, things you're not good at and you don't like. Well, if you're going to pay someone $55 a year, you better produce, $155 more to cover them, because it's going to cost you more than $55, and you should get an ROI. It should free you up to go sell more, go produce more, go do something else.
What do you think that return should be on support staff?
Wow, that's a great question. Let me just back into that a little bit. That's kind of my job. As the leader, it's my job to really understand what are the financial implications of adding this service, adding this support staff, adding this truck, adding this whatever, right? And I came to that realization by almost going broke a few times. In the landscape trade, you can get equipment heavy.
Mm-hmm. I can see that, and yeah. I would geek out on that. I would be at every conference,
right? Yeah,
like and every trade show, I would be buying all the new junk.
Yeah, and I wasn't totally like that, but I could get like that a little bit, and it got me in trouble a little bit, enough to kind of get my head straight. But then when when the economy really sort of tightened, I had to really understand and do the math, because I had to let go of about half of my staff. And how did I come up with half? So in a simple budget, you've got most of your expenses broken down as percentage of income that you think you can bring in reasonably, right? So if your support staff, that would be not in cost of goods sold, not to give an accounting speech here, but...
No, but this is good material here, because it's a lot of times, you can blur it a lot. People blur it a lot of times, and I think that's when they're not seeing that they think they're making money and they're not.
Sure. So if we're talking about a direct labor category. So hiring someone, an extra person to go produce a product, right? Well, depending on your industry, but let's say you're in the service industry and you want to produce a 50% gross profit, and you've got zero other materials in there. So then you could just go, okay, my labor is going to be about 50% of whatever that is, right? And if it's going to cost you $50,000, your labor burden is probably 20% on top of that. So what's that? Another $10,000, and so $60,000. You better produce $120,000 more by adding that person. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're going to add a support person, then you've got to take, if you're going to bring in, let's say you're going to bring in $1 million at 50% gross profit, you've got $500,000 left over. That's what's going to fund the business. Your variable overhead is this. Your fixed overhead, which the support person would be because they're not directly tied into doing the work. The support person, that, salary range should be somewhere around 10% of our annual income, or whatever the income is. And so you just got to go, okay, if that goes in there and it's $100,000 for this support or manager or whatever, you just divide it by 0.1. So it's got to produce that much more. Let's go into 55,000. I'm going to break out the calculator. You better bring in $300,000 more because you got to get produced. It's going to be 50% of that. So that's, divided by 2, that's 150. Then it's got to filter through everything else and it's got to cover them.
Yikes.
Yeah, right. And I'm simplifying the math, but that's the deal. Support costs money because it is direct overhead. It's not producing anything.
Right.
It's just there to help produce more. And so it damn well better produce more.
Right.
Not just make your job easier or make whoever's working directly for you make their job easier. I want to make their job easier, but it's got to make sense. Back to the point,
That is why. That is why, coming back to the point, that is why management must understand, hey, before you hire that person, you need to think about it adds that to your department budget.
Yeah.
And that's what they don't think about.
Yeah. In most people, and sometimes I forget. This isn't like me pointing fingers at anyone. This is me just talking about the realities of business and, numbers being the language of it, that it's gonna cost you money to have support. You better produce a lot more because you got to cover the costs. And it's not a goal. It's not something we sure hope to get to. We're striving for it. We don't get it. Oh, shucks. No. That's the standard.
Sid and Keith, when I was on your podcast, I shared my story of how I was $250,000 in debt, and then how I turned my business around and grew it into a highly profitable multi-million-dollar lawn and landscape business. I'm Steve Bousquet, and we've created a program consisting of courses and coaching that guide people through the process and tools I use to turn my business around and grow it into a highly profitable multi-million-dollar lawn and landscape business. You can find out more on how I did this by visiting greenprofitacademy.com or by going to Amazon and buying our book, Profit First for Lawn Care and Landscape Businesses, right on Amazon.
Hey there, listeners. I want to give a shout out to a friend and sponsor of ours, Chris Drogmiller from CMD Fencing. Let me tell you, I've had the pleasure of working with Chris personally over the last 3 or 4 years, and I've never encountered a fence contractor who excels in communication, craftsmanship, and timeliness like he does. Chris always delivers. I mean it. Fair prices, top-notch work, always on budget, and the best part for me, always on time. So if you're in need of a fence company to help you with a fence or any other outdoor wooden structure, give Chris a call. You won't be disappointed. Get in touch with Chris and let him and his team take care of all your fencing needs. CMD Fencing. Here's to the business owner. And I think lots of entrepreneurs and business owners, especially the good ones, are doing this and want to be, the only word I'm thinking of is benevolent, Talk about highbrow, right? But the only word I can think of is benevolent, and really just meaning like we want to be good people. We want to take care of our people. We want to train them up. We want to help them have the best lives they can, and we want to honor, respect them for being on our team. What we don't want to do is we don't want to put them in a situation where we're killing the golden goose by not having tough conversations with them and telling them, hey, I hear you're struggling with that, but you can't get another person. That's actually your job. That's the job. And so this is where I was going to land the plane. So if you need to produce, let's say, $300,000 this month, but you've only got this many crews and those crews can only produce this much, but you got the work here, so it's just down to production. I don't know what to say to you. That's the job. Does that make sense? Like, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to make sure that you have all the tools. But you are actually in control. You are managing that department. That is actually the job. Your job is to get your department to produce that. That's the job. That's the job. Now, people will get it mixed up thinking that my job is to come in on time, put the right butts in the right seats, return the customer's phone call, go and do this thing there, customer service, make sure we get a 5-star review, make sure all this and that, make sure all the tires are aired up, go through the safety speech and all that. That is true. But the end result is to hit that target. And in this fictitious scenario, it's produce $300,000 this month because that's how we all get paid. That's the job. But I don't have this. I don't know. That's the job. But I don't know about it. I don't know. That's the job. Well, and so if that's the job, you can't get to the end of the month going, hey, how'd we do? No. It's your job. How are you doing? And so this is another thing I think business owners, and really, let's say business leaders, department leaders, everyone kind of in leadership, they'll think, and I will get mixed up in this, I will think that that's my job to be checking in with them and saying, hey, you're only at here, you're going to get to there. It's not my job. If I get you to report back to me at the end of each week, where are you at? And I've now transferred ownership of that from me to you. Does that make sense? If you have to report to me, that's your job. If I'm reporting to you, it gets mixed up. You think it's my job. It's not my job. It's your job. That's why you are actually hired. I wouldn't hire you. I like you, but I wouldn't pay you to do this just because I like you. I wouldn't pay you to be here, and we're friends. But I don't need to pay for my friends. I need that seat that you are holding to produce X every month. That's the job. So
that's why it's called management.
Man, it's tough. So let's talk about why people might miss the standard. If your team's not hitting the standard, why is that? I got some ideas, but
unclear communication could be it.
Number one, man, do they know that that's the standard? Or do they just think it's a fuzzy goal out there that's made up? We're just throwing numbers on the wall, hoping we hit that. If we get relatively close, then that's good enough. And I
think the word goal kind of implies that.
Right. I think
so maybe we need to change the verbiage, right?
Well, I would say even in my scenario, we say annual plan all the time. But I think that it's so ingrained in modern culture that that's the annual goal that it just gets adopted as the annual plan is the annual goal. Like they're synonyms. Plan, goal, same thing. It's not. And that's where I'm really driving home this point. That's not the plan. It's not the goal. It's the standard. That's different. That wording is significantly different.
Before the show, we were talking, and you put it pretty precisely. And I think maybe if we started doing it this way in our quarterly meetings. Here's the standard that everybody gets to keep working here.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
And
one.
here's the goal in which we get to share money.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Standards are kind of maintaining the status quo, or maintaining. It's just maintaining. Standard is maintaining. Hitting goals are something beyond the standard, and that's where we share money.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's celebrate those.
Because I, as the business owner, I want to share money.
Yeah, I do too. But hell, we all make more money then, Let's celebrate that. But standards is the standard. So lots of times we can be unclear about that. Hell, we may be unclear of what the standard really is. Maybe we've never thought about it. Maybe we've never done the math. Maybe we've never considered. Maybe all we've been doing is just running and gunning and not considering what the actual standard is. So there's that. They don't know the standard because it's unclear. They don't understand the importance of it. And that's really, and I was probably over-indexing that on the front of the show, of just kind of driving home the point that, like, someone has to leave, We have to reduce cost if you're not hitting the target consistently, the standard consistently. And I say that because you could have a bad month or something like that, but you can't have 2. You can't have 3. You can't have 4, because you're just going to run out of money. And the only way a business goes out of business is
it runs out of money,
runs out of cash. And that has, there's a whole lot of nuance in that. You could be profitable and run out of cash and have to close the doors because you just run out of cash. But in this scenario we're talking about is just running out of money because you're not producing enough.
Well,
they don't understand the importance of that. Yeah.
Right. Well, and also team members need to understand that, like me as the business owner, I can't leave the business. I can't fire myself. If I fire myself, they're going to come pick my house up. Like, they're going to come pick my car up from my driveway, and my name's on the notes.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do that. I'm taking the whole risk here.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Yeah. I think there's some very well-intentioned business owners that do not think about the considerable risk that they are putting themselves and their families in by signing all those personal guarantees on the notes, signing their name on those leases that are 3-year leases. Good luck getting out of those without, going to bankruptcy court. The vehicles, the equipment, the inventory, the contract for marketing or whatever, no one else on the team is signing up for that, usually, mostly. So you better get real clear on what the standard is. You better make sure you communicate what the standard is. You better make it real clear to everyone that's on the team the magnitude of hitting those standards and how important it is. And then you better give them the support and give them the encouragement and give them the tools and whatever it takes to do that. Coach them up, find ways to get them to do that. Go out and participate in it as well. You can't just sit on the sidelines. I mean, it is a big deal. We're talking about this too because we didn't, I didn't really start this with the beginning of the podcast, but let's all be honest about how the economy is shifting, and every other podcast and everyone else is talking about it. So let's just go ahead and chime in too. If you were in business during COVID, 2020 through 2022, everyone was getting a bunch of free money. Everyone's spending, you're basically order taking. So if you answer the phone and go see someone, you're going to sell something in the service world. Your biggest problem was finding people to work. And so now you might be able to find some people to work, but do you have enough work to support all the people that you've got? That's the deal. That's probably what we should have started with. But now if you've listened 35 minutes into this thing, you're finally getting to the real crux of the issue. That's the problem, you know. That's the standard. Can't lose money. It's a big deal. You're going to go broke. You're going to go out of business. It's going to cause undue heartache and anxiety. People that you know and love, or you're going to have to let go. Something's going to happen. You can't rest on it. It's going to happen. Someone's got to address it, and it's only the leaders. That's the leader's responsibility, and it starts at the top.
Well, yeah.
So,
and if you don't address it, the leader's going to go broke.
Oh my God. Yeah. They're going to come take your house. Yeah. And I promise your spouse did not sign up for that. That's not what they signed up for. They thought you were going to be a successful business owner. You know, These are the words that I have said into my head, going broke. My wife didn't sign up for this. She thought I was going to be fantastic. Hell, I did too. Turns out I was an idiot. Now, didn't totally sink me. I sort of scrounged some stuff together and came out miraculously. And to be honest, that wasn't all me. There was a whole lot of providence going on there. But, and golly, man, we sound like Debbie Downers right now. But, man, we're going into, the closer we get to the election, the more things tighten up. Interest rates aren't getting lower. You know what I'm saying? It's a tougher and tougher market right now. You better sharpen the saw.
Yeah, are you delegating too much?
You might be delegating too much. You know, it sure is nice getting that stuff off your plate, but can you afford it? All right. So, any questions on this? No?
I think that was pretty clear.
Okay.
I think that last statement about delegation got it.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, man, we're just putting real stuff out there that we see coming down the pike, and we see happening. So hopefully you're taking it as good feedback and a good reminder to maybe do the work. What is it costing you to have someone? What is it costing you all your support? Are you hitting your targets? Are you one of those people that don't look at your numbers every month? Not a good idea, especially right now. You know, what was your margin this last month? When's the last time you closed out a month? When's the last time you closed out a quarter? How you doing? Where were you this time last year? Where were you the quarter before this, you know? Period over period, year over year. What about the last 3 years? How are you tracking there? What about your rolling 12? You ever do a rolling 12? Rolling 12 month and just see what are your averages there? Are you trending in the right direction or are you trending in the wrong direction? I would say that most people are trending in the wrong direction. I think prices are tightening. I think labor is a little bit easier to get, so we start to hoard that talent. And it's not like labor rates went down, you know. So people that you used to pay $17 an hour are used to making $22 an hour, so you can't pay them $17 an hour now, even though your pricing has probably gone back down a little bit. There's not as much supply and demand pressure, so you know you can't just throw a number out there. And so I think things are getting tight. Maybe not with certain industries. I don't know.
And so how are you going to set yourself apart should be the answer.
Yeah, you better get your team on the same page. You better get real good at what you do, efficient with your selling, doing the best you can to sell your product at your price. What's that price? You got to do the work, you know? What's it going to cost? And then you got to be real efficient with the production, you know, so you're hitting that gross profit, and then you got to be real lean in your overhead, you know? Probably not the time to go buy that new G-Wagon as your corporate vehicle. And I don't even care if you're going to put a wrap on it, you know, your new Tesla, what is it, the Cybertruck, you know, if you put a wrap on it, you know, it doesn't diminish the fact that you just spent $128,000, you know.
So what are your standards? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, what are your standards?
Sid, you say numbers are the language of business. We probably should take care of business.
Listen up.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about my friend Wes Cody. He's the president of C2 Wealth Strategies, a financial advisory firm dedicated to providing personalized solutions for your financial needs. Wes and his team of professionals are passionate about helping clients create wealth and achieve financial freedom. At C2 Wealth Strategies, they believe in taking a holistic approach to financial planning and are committed to building long-lasting relationships with their clients, ensuring their financial well-being every step of the way. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Contact Wes and C2 Wealth today at c2wealth.com to schedule a consultation. Let Wes and his team help you build your financial future.
Guys, I want to take a moment to talk about someone who's been instrumental in my personal and business success. That's Johnny Barranco and his team at Barranco & Associates. For over 7 years, Johnny has been my go-to accountant and financial consultant. I can tell you that he's more than just a tax preparer. Johnny takes a holistic approach to all my financial dealings, aligning them with my long-term plans and personal lifestyle. I've recommended Johnny to several friends throughout different business groups around the country, and the feedback has been nothing short of exceptional. His expertise and service are top-notch. So if you're looking for someone who not only prepares your taxes, but also helps you strategize for the future, Johnny and his team at Barranco & Associates are the ones to call. Trust me, you won't regret it. So contact Johnny Barranco today and take the first steps towards financial peace. You're not going to regret this. Just want you to all be safe out there. You know, and then the overlaps are in the house, and it's a little bit less important, but there's standards at home too. Yes, sir, no, sir, please, and thank you are the standards for my kids, making their bed every day. And then they'll complain, but it's my job. Hey, did you make your bed? Oh, you didn't? All right, you're doing that right now. Go do it. Oh, I got to go to school. I don't care. Go do it. You know what the standard is. Go.
I see it. I see those standards that's been let go every day. Yeah. If you want to look at society, if you want to look at the overlaps.
Yeah. Well, and there's another thing.
Look at where the standards have been let go.
Yeah, that's another thing. We can look. Yeah, you make a really good point. I sort of recoil from that because I think that I can get caught up in, and I see it in others, get caught up in complaining about others when I really need to be looking in the mirror.
Yep.
My standards get slipped. My family standards start to slip. That's all I've really got control over. You know, and I'm not solving the world's problems, and I'm not solving, the homeless crisis or the border crisis. I'm not solving any of that, but I can make sure my kids make their bed every day. They say, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, please and thank you. They do the dishes in the evening. They participate in the work in the household, and hopefully they grow up to be good members of society. And it's my job to hold the standards. And they get mad at me. And then, I'm sure they're, wishing harm upon me.
Yeah.
Upon me from time to time. But, I love them enough to know that that's what's important, and that's going to set them up for success in life. And I'll tell you, I've got a 19-year-old now, and he is clean and organized, and he's actually said thanks, man, because he has to live with other people. He's like, golly, I didn't realize people didn't know how to make food,
Oh, yeah. My daughter, it drives her crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. She's like, people are dirty.
They are. And they just leave things. They leave their socks everywhere. And yeah, I get it. All right. Well, that's good. There's a difference. There is a difference between goals and standards, guys. Maybe change your language. Yeah. Make sure your team knows. Make sure you know. Make sure you understand the real importance of it. And then you can start passing that down to everyone else. Anything else?
That's it.
Go visit our sponsors. Go help them out. They wouldn't be with us. We wouldn't have them on the program if we didn't believe in them. So please help them out. They help us out. They make it possible to have all 12 of you plus a few more. And Keith's mom. Listen.
We updated that page today, actually. So there's some new sponsors on the sponsor page.
Ooh, let's go.
So go check it out. Overlap.life/sponsors.
All right. That's all for me.
That's it. Peace.